All right. Well, welcome back to School of the Bible. We've been doing life lessons with Apostle David, and there's just something about hearing it from the source itself. Now, you've got a man that's spent 50 years in ministry, and that is this transparent, that will basically answer any question, whatever. And I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't take advantage of what is there and what is available to us. And the fact is now we have internet, and so internet has the ability to record something, and then somebody listen to it, and somebody could listen to it 15 years from now, and it could change their life, and that's what we're after. We're after the people that really want to further the kingdom of God. And so I've lived with this man since I was, I was born in 1972.
53.
I have lived with this man for 53 years. I know he's not perfect. I know that, he makes mistakes just like all of us do. But I've never seen a man, and I've looked at him, I've watched him. I've watched the people, and I've never seen anybody. I don't care who they are. Just pick out your favorite preacher that would do something like this. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. Just pick them out. I mean, what? Rod Parsley. What are some of the other famous ones? Kenneth Copeland. They've always got to be in charge. But what I have found is there's something unique about him, and he relies totally and completely and infinitely on the grace of God. And to be honest with you, there have been times, even though I've lived with him for 53 years, I don't even know how he did it. You can't do that. There's no way a physical man can stand up to that kind of pressure. It's not possible. So the only thing that I can say is it's the grace of God.
Amen. Well, you really...
I was trying to make you look bad, Dad. I was trying to make you look bad.
He hates when we do that.
I wasn't trying to do that.
I don't think you try, you just do it. Okay, I got a couple of... You want some? You want to go ahead?
That's just the way that people feel that way. That's just the way we feel. 50 years. 50 years. 50 years. What do you go through in 50 years? I want to know. I have an inquiring mind. I would like to know.
Yeah. Oh, you got something?
No, you got something.
Okay. The first thing I want to talk to you about tonight, and I'm talking about, now these, I know I use a lot of illustrations about myself and my experiences and what I've walked through, and so much of these life lessons you learn the hard way. But I have to illustrate it with my own experience, because we've got to break it down to where we are, And so I'll be doing some of that tonight. But one of the things that I've learned is this, because all of us are going to experience this at some time in our life, some more than others, depending on the level of leadership and who you have influence with is going to determine how much of this works in your life. But basically what you have to learn to do is, when a person leaves your life, when they walk away, you have to learn to let them walk. Okay? Now, what we're really talking about when we say that is rejection, and rejection is a powerful uh, emotion, or it's a powerful uh, thing that will change our life. It'll affect our thinking. It'll affect our emotions, and so what that means is this: if someone rejects you, it means that they don't value you. It means that they're saying, you don't have anything that I need. You're saying, I don't like you. hmm I don't like what's in you. Or I don't like the decisions that you make. I don't like the way you talk. I don't like the way you look. I don't like. But for a person to walk away from you, I mean, leave your life. See, there has to be a reason for it. Especially if you've been in a relationship for a long period of time. Now, the reason I say that you let them walk, because I've tried this as a minister for years and being the bishop over a church. There's hundreds, and this is true with any church, really, I guess. But I've had hundreds of people to reject me and to walk away. And I didn't know any better for a long time. I took all the responsibility on me, and I said, well, what am I doing wrong? Why are all these people leaving me? And so what I realized was this, because I tried to talk to some of them. Most of them just leave. They don't tell you anything. But a few that I've talked to, I found this out. Once they've made that decision to get out of your life, to walk away from you, they've already thought about it. Right. They're already. There's nothing at that point then that you can do. Okay, so you can run after them. You can try to get them to come back. In my case, many times I went to people because I thought it's what I was supposed to do, and so I would go and try to get people. I would go to their houses and try to talk them into staying, and I found out real quick it was useless. As a matter of fact, all I'm doing is getting my feelings hurt worse. Going into their house on their territory, they've got more liberty to tell me, about me. I did this one time because there was this mindset that had permeated the church that you can't talk to Apostle David. If you got a problem, talk to this one or this one, but not him, because he has enough to think about. Okay? So after a while, I announced that you could talk to me, And little did I know, they lined up to talk to me in the next week. Little did I know that all of them lined up to tell me what they didn't like about me. Well, I've never done that since, I figure people vote with their presence and with their money and, that kind of thing, with their labor. But anyway, you don't try to run after people. And you don't have to explain yourself to everybody, okay? I'll give you an example, and this is something that's fairly recent with me. It started 3 years ago. Now, I have this friend in ministry. I met him about 40 years ago, and we hit it off. He was just getting started in the ministry. I was getting started in the ministry. I had him to come and preach for me because he didn't pastor a church. He itinerated. He would preach in different churches, and I would have him to come and preach for me. And we got to be friends, and we hunted together. We hung out together. I always attended. If he was anywhere around, I would attend the services and be in service with him and that kind of thing, right? Okay, so in my way of thinking, we're pretty close, And so when Geraldine passed away, uh, 3 years and 2 months ago. Now, this is a time in my life when I needed somebody more than any other time in my life. I mean, this was the worst time of my life, by far the worst time of my life. And when she passed away, when we left the hospital that day and she was gone, I went home and I called him. First thing I did, first person I called him, and to let him know what happened. And I don't know. The only thing I did hear him years ago talk about cremation, and that he didn't believe in cremation. Well, let me just say this and insert this, because it'll help somebody. There is absolutely, totally nothing in the Bible about cremation, positive or negative.
Right.
Nothing. So you can't, I mean, and that's going to be something that's going to determine a 40-year relationship, okay? So I called him the first thing. That to this day, over 3 years later, he never called me. He never texted me. He never. I think his wife sent us a flower. Okay. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, these things are going to happen, and I wish they wouldn't happen, but they do. But you can't let yourself get down on yourself because of that. Okay. Everybody's different. Okay. And this is something I know I've been talking about lately, but once we understand nobody's got the same DNA that you do, the same fingerprints or anything else, every one of us are different, and we don't know what's on the inside of a person, okay? And so that leaves us in a position to where we really can't judge somebody else just by what they do necessarily, okay? But so he's having a meeting. It's about 3 hours from here. And so I in my mind, I'm thinking I would like to go to that because I hadn't been anywhere. I don't go anywhere I don't get ministered to. But I thought, I knew some of the guys that were going to be there. And, of course, I thought maybe something could break between he and I don't know. But anyway, and I really had a struggle for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm praying, God, because there was a part of me that wanted to go and there's a part of me that didn't want to go. And I couldn't get a witness either way. Okay. But this is where I came to when I decided not to go. I looked at it, and he is the, and now some of these other guys I knew from the past because we were in the same organization. But he was the head of this meeting. It's his meeting. Well, whatever his attitude is toward me is going to filter down.
Yes, sir.
You see? So why put myself in that position?
Right.
Why go? See, when you get rejected, you're hurt, you're wounded, you're beat up, you don't make the right decisions sometimes. You have that sense of what's so bad about me, what's wrong with me, that kind of thing. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Well, rejection is a powerful tool of the enemy. So we're responsible to watch over our emotions, our sense. We got to be careful where we go. I've said it a lot lately. We've got to be very careful about our relationships.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the word friend is a covenant word. And to have a real friend, it has to do really, it goes back to covenant.
Yes.
Now, in a covenant, it means that these two parties come together and they say to each other, If you have a need and I can meet that need, then covenant demands that I meet that need. You see what I'm saying? If you need protection, then I am there to protect you. See? That means that you become one. It's like what marriage is a covenant, you know. And I bring this to the table. You're different than me. You're stronger than me in certain areas. I'm stronger than you in certain areas. But when covenant takes place, when a friendship is developed on that level, then you have something available to you that you didn't have before. And he has something available to him that he didn't have before. So that's what friendship is all about. And during these years, there's been times when he blessed me, and there's times when I blessed him. But let me tell you something about relationships. There will be people coming into your life that in the beginning, they're a great blessing. In the beginning, they're a help. Mm-hmm. They will do all these wonderful, good things for you in the beginning. But in the process of time, they'll move from there and to a place of hurting you, okay, and not being a blessing to you anymore, more so being a curse, okay. But this is what happens. Let me warn you. When that begins to happen, because this is what I've done, and you probably too, when I begin to see things that go against my spirit, that goes against my conscience, when I begin to see that start happening, I automatically go back to all the good they've done. Okay, and so when I go back there, then I kind of override my conscience and I let them get by, you know, with what they're doing, because I'm thinking, well, they've done this for me, they've done that for me, you know. But what's the old saying? What have you done for me lately? And so I think that's because this is real life stuff I'm talking about. This is where we live, okay? And so we have to be careful about the relationships, and relationships are different on different levels. And you don't have the same relationship with everybody that you have with your spouse or with your children, and you know, there's a level of relationship. Now just think about Jesus. Jesus had 70 people, 70 disciples at one time. Well, he had 12 also out of the 70 that had a stronger relationship. Then out of that, he had 3, Peter, James, and John. His relationship with them was more and greater than the relationship with the rest of the disciples. And then he had 1, and that was John. And remember, he and John had a tighter relationship. There was a different level, okay? So we have to know, and be wise enough to know when it comes to relationships where they fit in our order, okay? So, and if you try to put somebody that's on a lower level and try to walk in a relationship with them on this level, you're going to get in trouble, because you can't. If you got this person like Jesus, you're only going to probably have 2 or 3 permanent relationships as far as friendship goes on that level in your whole life, okay? But if you try to, for instance, and if you the highest level of relationship is somebody you can confide in, somebody you can talk to, somebody that understands you, okay, and it's just it can confess your faults to, okay. If you try doing that with a person whose relationship is down here on a 1, 2, or 3, and you're trying to have a relationship with them like they're a 10, you're going to get in trouble. Is this making any sense? You know? And so you have to understand, see, some people come into your life and they're not supposed to stay that long. There's something in them that they need from you, or something in you that you need from them, or both ways. But after a while, people in their minds, well, I got everything out of you that I want. Okay, I've drawn, because see, there's a treasure in everybody. Okay, but there's two things that have to go on. We have to be willing to release the treasure in us, but we got to know how to draw the treasure out of someone else. Okay, so there will be people in and out of your life, your whole life, and people will walk away. And here again, you don't try to get them back. When they walk away, let them walk. A lady came to me one time, a young lady. She had been dating a guy in the church. He was from Texas. And so they've been going together a little while, and then he decides he needs to move back to Texas. That's where he grew up and everything. So she came to me because she was upset. Her heart was broken that he had left, okay? And what I told her was this: look, if he comes back, then he was yours. If he doesn't come back, he was never yours. You see? And so there's people that'll be in and out of your lives. Somebody described it like this: some people are just scaffolding. Okay? When you build a building, you have to have scaffolds. I used to be in construction. Everywhere we when you start working on the side of the house up high, you got to have a scaffold to stand on. Okay? But that's not the house. That's just scaffolding. There will be people that come in your life that'll just be scaffolding. In other words, they might help for a while, just for a season, for you to build your house. And I'm talking about not just the church. I'm talking about your life, because Jesus talked about the two houses. He was talking about two lives. So, and you got picked up anything you want to ask?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got several questions, but when you just said that, having been in construction, and having to deal with scaffolding. Now, you're relating scaffolding to a person.
Yeah. Well,
All right, so that's a relationship
right.
that can let you down. Because it never happened to me, but I watched it happen to people when they relied on the scaffolding to get them to the place that they needed to be, the job that they needed to do, and the scaffolding didn't hold.
Yeah.
And so it failed.
Yeah. It's got to be strong.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one guy broke his leg. I mean, I was working for Eddie Gillespie, and we were over here in Carnesville, and it wasn't even a long fall. It wasn't a long fall at all. But because the scaffolding wasn't what it was supposed to be, he didn't fall off the scaffold. He fell straight down, and that pressure just from that amount of height broke his leg. James, you were there. Yeah. You were there.
Well, see, another talking about that, I used to be in construction. We built houses, and once you get it framed up, then you got to run what they call the box, and right up on the bottom of the rafters on the outside, what's going to be seen. So you have to have a scaffold. So we would build the scaffold out of 2x4s, and then put wide boards, 2x10s. That's what you walked on. Well, I'm not kidding you. Every house I worked on, the scaffolding fell. Every time it would fall. As a matter of fact, I don't know how in the world I kept from getting hurt. It was never real high, okay? So one day I said this: bless God, I am going to build a scaffold this time. I'm tired of falling, okay? So I went out there and I built the scaffold. I reinforced it. There's no way that thing's going to fall. So we went to lunch. While we're at lunch, the heat and air men came in, and they have to cut out studs to put in their registers, right? Well, I didn't know they had cut out some studs that I had nailed the scaffolding to, so that we had this big opening for where the fireplace was going to go. I get back from lunch, I go running through the house, and I'm just going to bounce right up on that scaffold. I hit that scaffold, and we both went right out across the yard. Now I know that's comical, but that's the kind of thing you got. Even those relationships that are just temporary. You have to know what's there, because they will let you down. You can't. It's got to be strong, and I think that's what you were saying. If that scaffolding is not strong, you're going to fall. You could get hurt, and the house is not getting built.
Yeah, and it's all about building the house. I mean, and the thing is you didn't have anything to do with that.
No.
That scaffolding. If I take it back to the Great Exodus, there were some people that left just because they listened to what somebody else said.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
That's it. They might have been scaffolding, but they was very weak.
Yeah.
To start with.
Yeah.
And meaning this, what you just said, I didn't have anything to do with that. A lot of times when people leave you, it's because you want to blame yourself. Yeah. But sometimes it has nothing to do with you doing something. It was when people leave, it's like the old, lately I got leaving on my mind. When they leave, it's in them. They got rabbit in them, and they're going to run. That's why people run, is because it's already on the inside of them. If it weren't so, then why doesn't everybody run all the time? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
I think I might know that, but I don't want to guess. Apostle Greg said this one time when we were in Hawassi. He said it's very difficult when people leave and you're the person up front. It's hard not to take that personal.
Oh yes. Boy, I wrestled with it for years. It used to just tear me up when people would leave. I took it personally. What's wrong with me? What did I do? But it's come to the place now that because people come in, and I used to, can I just be honest? When new people would come in, I would get excited. I don't get excited, not anymore. Because when they come in, I pick up, I can tell you right quick whether they're going to stay or not. Yeah.
Yeah, you've actually done that with me before. They're not going to stay. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, they were gone.
Yeah.
Over nothing.
Nothing. 40 years of a relationship over because I had my wife's body cremated. Is that something to break 40 years over? You know what that is? And God help us. That's religion.
Yeah.
Religion cuts you off when you violate what they believe. See, because religion, it's always about condemnation, about finding fault with somebody. Now, I don't know what these guys that were burned at the stake are going to do. You know what I'm saying? Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. What about animals that have eaten people and been pooped them out? When Jesus comes, come on. You say it's going to be, listen, what you're saying is it's going to be easier for God to raise up a bunch of dust than it is for him to raise up ashes. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
or a pile of poo.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get real. Now, the reason I'm going ahead and saying that is because there's a lot of people that are confused about it, you know, and a lot of people see it as something. It's just tradition.
Yeah.
That's all it is. They didn't bury people in Jesus' day like they do now. They mummified them, you know. I don't care how much you mummify something in the process of time, it's going back to dust. And I don't know why we have to get off on that, but I believe somebody out there is getting some information that's going to help them, you know. You still got anything else, Ange?
Oh, I had the question wrote down. I can't find it now. I've already written too much.
Yeah. See, the thing is
I do have a question.
okay.
How, and I know it's a deep subject, but how do you recognize the people that you need to just let go of? Because we've got this thing in our minds, especially as Christians, we're supposed to love everybody. We're supposed to take care of everybody. We're supposed to do this and this and this. How have you, and it's not just that. It's not just that. This went to my question. It led me to my question. How have you kept the balance between what is spiritual and what is natural? Because you're really, people will get up and they'll say, well, God showed me this. You don't say that. You say, I believe God's showing me this.
Right.
And that kind of thing. So I guess what I'm asking is how have you kept over your years the balance of just getting out there into flaky la-la land, which a lot of people have done? I mean, really, if you think about what he just said, that's getting out there into flaky la-la land, like Jesus can't bring back ashes or something like that. How have you kept the balance? How have you kept the foundation? How have you just
Not
got flaky and crazy?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is common sense. And then I was thinking about a guy today. Now, this guy, a lot of people are sold on this guy. There's been several times that people will come up with all kind of flaky stuff. I try to go back to the Word, okay? Did Jesus, this thing came out about gold dust, and gold dust is falling out of the air. People were shaking gold dust, and it was just a bunch of bunk. You got to go back to the Word and go back to Jesus. Did Jesus do this? Did Jesus have gold dripping from his hands? Did he have, listen, another stigmata was, and I've had people to prophesy, you're going to have blood in your hands. Well, that actually happens in some places in the world, okay? But it's what you call a stigmata. It's demonic, okay? The Catholics in some places have statues that cry, the real tears, run down their face and all that kind of stuff. Well, I never heard of Jesus doing anything like that. I never heard of him having feathers come out from his sleeves, okay? Jesus, he walked in the supernatural, but the supernatural that he walked in was to bring provision, or healing and that kind of thing. There was a need there, okay? So basically, I go back to what did Jesus do? What did Paul do? Did they ever, and there's certain scriptures that people get carried away with. And so much of what Jesus, we're getting out of time here, but I was thinking about the scripture when you were talking just now, that and I'm telling you that you don't run after everybody, right? Well, here's the thing. Unless you knew that the Holy Ghost told you to, because you might have a baby out there that's been deceived, But Jesus, he said, who having a flock of sheep, one of them goes astray, you go get him, And a lot of what he's talking about there, he's talking about the Jews and the Gentiles, But they take scriptures and for a lack of knowledge, then they twist them around and justify, okay? Any text out of context is a pretext. You've got to know, I've said it many times, you got to know who's doing the talking, what are they talking about, okay? What's the purpose of what they're saying, okay? And of course, you've got a Holy Ghost, and the more you pray in tongues, one of the first things that's going to show up, if you spend excessive times praying in other tongues, one of the first things that's going to show up is you'll begin to discern what is God and what's not. You'll be able to pick up on spirits that's not of God. Okay, you'll be able to know where people are. We've had several families that have come in the last year, I guess you could say. And you had total babies. You love them. You try to minister to them and do what you can. But look, everybody's got their limitations. All of us do. We can only do so much. Okay, so you got a whole bunch of babies, and you don't know what babies are going to do. They'll come up with all kind of crazy stuff. Just because they want to get out of people don't want to leave a church and just say that I'm just backslid. No, they won't leave the church. They got to blame it on somebody. Somebody said this to me. Somebody hurt my feelings. Somebody was a hypocrite, So that's why I left. You don't ever know what baby's going to do. But then I can tell when the religious people come in. All they got to do is tell me, like a couple here, a family, good-sized family. The first thing they want to know is that they play the drums, and they want me to know that we left this church because the pastor received an offering to build a sign. And see, I don't have to have a revelation from God to know that if he left the church because he didn't like what the preacher did, then he ain't staying long because he ain't gonna like something I do. Hello? And see, when you don't have a relationship. If your relationship with somebody, if you can't love them and support them and help them when they're wrong, then that's not a relationship. You love them, and you restore them, and you help them. You don't turn your back on them. If you do, there was no relationship there to start with. Okay, but when somebody comes in, and you learn this, and they're talking about they left the last church, and they start complaining about what was in the last church. First of all, let me just say, you don't even want them. I don't want them. I've had enough of that. Okay, that's just a bunch of religion, and I don't want it. Okay, there's been times I could tell you names right now. I could stand here and name nothing had been said or done. There was nothing, and I have seen I don't know how many people get up during the service and walk out, and I knew you'll never see them again. They gone, and having not said anything. Just doing what we do, okay? But I'm talking about relationships tonight. I'm talking about rejection, okay? And the thing is, it is hard. Oh God, it used to hurt so bad. It used to hurt so bad. And like I said, now I don't like to say I expect it, but I don't get. It doesn't surprise me now. It doesn't shock me now. I mean, if a 40-year relationship don't shock you that much, it'll shock you. So, and the thing is you got to continue to do what God has called you to do, whether or not people are in agreement or not.
Yeah.
It's all about being in God's will. And listen, I don't want a relationship in my life that God doesn't want.
That's right.
Okay, because there's people that you're going to connect with personally.
Yeah.
I mean, they just got great personalities. They got the same interest in a lot of ways, and it's just like a marriage. It goes back to this. Love is not a feeling. It may cause a feeling sometimes, I'm sure, but love is not a feeling. Love is a commitment. Because I don't care what you feel in the beginning. You don't feel that way 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hello out there. And you cannot live by your emotions and by your feelings. You have to, okay, and this goes with every relationship. I've made a commitment.
Yeah.
I've made a covenant in my heart with you. And no matter what you do, I'm going to try to help you. I'm going to love you. I'm not going to agree with your sin or anything like that, but I'm not going to judge you and condemn you. Okay, I'm not going to cut off a relationship. Excuse me, just because you made a bad decision, or not even a bad decision, but a decision that you think's bad. You know. Well, I think we're out of time. Okay, I told you there's a lot in this.
Yeah, rejection. How personally have you? I think you may have already answered it, but how do you deal with that? Because it's not just it's not just a matter of, because you got to overcome the emotions, you got to overcome all the stuff. Like you said, they've been all this stuff to you. They've done this for so many years. And so how do you reconcile that within yourself? How do you deal with it? Because I mean, the devil will come along and tell you, oh, see what they did, and you just turn your back on them and all that kind of stuff. But you didn't turn your back on them. They turned their back on you.
Yeah, listen, I heard a preacher say this. He quite a large ministry, so he had taught some things, and this lady sent him a letter asking him and wanting him to explain what he meant by some things he said. He said he started writing a letter to her, and then he said no, and he threw it away, and he started again. Oh, this is not right. Throw it away. He did that about 3 or 4 times, and then it dawned on him. I'm giving this woman more of my time than I give my own mama. So see, the devil wants you in the wrong relationships.
Yeah.
He absolutely does. That way you're going to spend your life and your energy and your time and your emotions, okay? Because he's going to send people into your life. But here again, Holy Ghost, and I'll tell you, not only that, you got to have elders in your life that you can trust, okay? It's all right to go to an elder in the Lord. Now, here again, it's back to relationship. But you got to have some people in your life. And you can ask your own self this question: what would they do? Okay, how would they handle this? But then, at the same time, you need somebody that you have great confidence in, and they've got a proven life of character, integrity. You need somebody that you can go to and say, how do you feel about this? What do you think? What should I do? It's all right. It's safety in the multitude of counsel. Yeah. Sometimes we need to talk to somebody else before we make a decision. Okay. And the day I made the decision not to go, there's this little voice, I'm talking about going to this meeting, that I was talking about earlier. once I decided not to go, then I was talking to your older brother, David Jr., and I don't know, he's got a way. He's saying things, and he said, and he just told me. I told him I didn't go. He said, "You got no business up there." He said, "You just putting yourself in with a bunch of religious people, and all they're gonna do, you're just gonna get frustrated, irritated, and aggravated." Yes. And then, as he said that, I said, "That's it." And then my thoughts began to go. You know, I began to see the whole picture. Yeah. That's why I didn't go. I didn't know why I didn't go, but then I knew why. We're just right back to people are going to reject you no matter what you do, but don't put yourself out there. yeah. You know, just
that's actually not the only time that happened. I'm not going to say the time that it happened, but there was another instance where someone passed, and you were headed to the what is it? The wake or the whatever? The visitation or whatever. And you were there. You were on your way there. Yeah. And you said, "Why am I doing this?"
I had already gotten dressed. I was going on my way, and I knew that the room's going to be full of people that had left me, rejected me, and it was kind of recent, so I hadn't fully overcome or gotten past it. And I'm on the way to that wake, and the lady was the one that passed was a wonderful, wonderful lady. She was in this church for years, never done me anything but good. But on the way over there, I just got to thinking, and it's like the Lord said, "Why are you going?" She doesn't know anything about it. She's in heaven. So I'm not, you know what I'm saying? And so I knew, why should I go put myself in that position? Why? You know, I did her funeral, okay? But that's different than having to go in and stand around with a bunch of,
One of these days I want to ask you about what's it like to stand in a room full of hostile people, and but we'll save that for a different time. But I would like to get some. I want some life experiences.
When you don't want them, just listen to me.
No. I want them from you, so I don't have. I'm not wanting to go through them. I want to hear them from you. All right.
Human beings are the only thing that's out of order in this earth. Animals do what animals do. Birds do what birds do. Fish do what fish do. That's just who they are. They do the same thing over and over and over. Always. They've got patterns, but human beings, you don't ever know what they're going to do.
That is absolutely true.
The word says, "Know them that labor among you."
Yeah,
okay?
Well, yeah.
And what David Jr. was telling me, he said, "Look, what he's done is shows you what's in him."
Yes.
And what he is.
Yes.
Through these kinds of things, sometimes when people reject you, you don't need a revelation from God. They're showing you what's in them and what they are. They're screaming at you, and you just ain't recognizing what's in front of you.
Yeah, you know what? That scripture came to me today. For some reason, know them that labor among you, and I think about all these ministers and different people and all these kind of things, and I began to think to myself, I think highly of this one. Man, I think highly of this one. I think, oh my God, I think highly of this one. The only issue is I don't know them.
Exactly. And you won't know them until that relationship is tried. When it's tried, then you find out how strong the relationship was, you know. All right. Well, God bless everybody that's watching tonight and everybody that's here, and we got to get praying. So, see you next time.
Y'all have a good night. Have a good week.